What's up, YouTube? ODST General back again with some Starship Troopers Extermination. 1.0 has dropped, and we need to talk about it, guys, because it's been a complete mess. If you guys aren't familiar with Starship Troopers Extermination, this game's been out for about a year and a half now in early access. I've covered it on my channel a number of times, usually when major patches and stuff have come out. 1.0 adds a bunch of new features. It takes the game out of early access, and there's a bunch of other stuff that we need to discuss with it, though, because like I said, yeah, it's been a mess, so we're going to kind of go through and just take a look at basically all of the various major points of the update and discuss each point and what's basically going on with it, because nearly everything has some sort of issue going on with it with all the new features. First of all, though, the game has changed in price with its release on consoles. The game has gone up. I believe it was at $25. It might have been $30 initially. I did get my copy free when the game had first come out to early access as part of a media coverage kit. But I believe it went from like $25 to $30. It's now currently up to $50 depending on your region. And I believe in some cases even more with the console release, which, if the game was working properly, I would be fine with that price, honestly. I would say it would be worth that price if everything worked as intended. But the issue is, it's not. And if you guys look at the ratings for the game, they have been getting bombed pretty heavily recently. They're down to mixed from very positive, which probably should tell you something about the game's current state. Alright, so yeah, let's go ahead and let's talk about this. So first up, we have the Special Operations Group, which was added. So the Special Operations Group, if we go out of here, is this. This is the solo play tutorial, and it's just like what it sounds. This is a glorified tutorial. This was something that they hyped up a lot prior to the release. We've brought back Casper Van Dien as Johnny Rico. He's General Rico in this. This is essentially a glorified slideshow for the cinematic portions, if you'll call them that. And then once you actually get into the game, the entire tutorial series pretty much takes place in tunnels of various maps and everything like that, so it's very linear. And then you get an objective per mission. You have 3 AI companions, and the AI companions in this are pretty terrible. The AI partners you get for this solo play tutorial are just like the ones that have been in the main missions for the multiplayer. It looks like they're sliding across the ground when they're walking. It looks really silly. They don't really do a huge amount. So you're basically playing this essentially by yourself, which is fine because it's not super challenging, but it's not the greatest thing ever. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll just click on this real quick to show it off to you guys very briefly.
Vanguard engineers are overwhelmed on Agni Prime. They need help with tearing down a spent refinery. Those parts belong to the Federation, and we need them elsewhere. Sound familiar? I know you're not tech heads, but get there and get the job done.
So that's basically a briefing. You get one of those before and after every mission. And there's 25 missions of that. So then again, you would go in, you'd get your mission, and it gives you whatever objective. Go collect an ore canister, and then the next mission's go collect a gas canister. And then the next mission's go and collect a Marine squad. So you basically get one of these for every like objective type in the game, is what it kind of comes down to. And I would say that's probably not really necessary. Most of the objectives are pretty self-explanatory. The gas and the ore are basically the exact same thing. So if you know how to do one, you know how to do the other. It's just the color of the gas and ore is different. That's really the only difference between the two of them. And then depending on the mission, maybe the amount you need for it. And it really doesn't even explain the fact that you use the ore to build like base defenses. It just teaches you how to collect it, which is the most self-explanatory aspect of it, in my opinion. So yeah, that's not great. Kind of a pointless thing. It was a big hyped up feature and no one really cares about it. So then we're going to go on to the next big feature, which is crossplay. Now crossplay, a lot of people are upset by. I personally will say I don't mind the crossplay. I actually kind of like the crossplay added, but there is some aspects of it that are getting certain community members riled up, and kind of understandably so. So PlayStation, Xbox, and PC players can now all play together, with the release of the consoles having come out now. And yeah, as you might imagine, there's communication issues. I don't believe Xbox and PlayStation players can communicate with PC players over voice at all. I know that there's some text chat and stuff that people have been using, so stuff like the Xbox controllers obviously have like the little plug-in keyboards and stuff you can get. You could probably use those to communicate with people. Most people aren't going to be doing that. And generally speaking, because the console players are just getting the game, they're very inexperienced at it. There's a lot of base building mistakes and just gameplay mistakes that are happening. And for the more experienced PC players who have been playing this for a year, year and a half, or whatever, it's getting pretty frustrating for a lot of them because they're trying to pick up the slack and they're just having bad games. Now, with that being said, I haven't actually shut it off because, like I said, I don't mind it so much, but if you go into settings and gameplay, you can turn crossplay off in here. Obviously, the big downside to that, is that your matchmaking times are going to increase by some amount because you have a much, much larger pool of players, the console players involved. So, crossplay, again, major addition, kind of mixed receival from the community. Like I said, I personally like it well enough. I can see why people don't, though. Then we have the company system, which is perhaps the worst aspect of this update, aside from optimization, which we'll get more into later. But the company system is a major, major part of this update. The company system is basically clans or groups, whatever you want to call them. So it's up to 30 members currently, which is supposed to be expanded later on, can join together in a organization, and you guys can launch in and play together and do all this stuff. Now, there's a lot of issues with this. First and foremost, the biggest issues is that if you and your friends want to start up a clan or an organization, you can't do that. I mean, you can create one really easily. There's some name filter limitations and stuff, but the issue is you cannot invite your friends, and they cannot search for your clan, which means the only way your friends can join your company is by getting it on this list of companies. Now, I don't even know how many, I haven't counted this out, but I'm guessing there's probably maybe like 30 companies or 40 companies that get listed out on here. And it's somewhat randomly generated. It seems to favor the larger companies a little bit more. As you can see, a lot of these have 29, 29, 29, 28, 27. So heavier members, and there's only like one with like 4 people in it and nothing below that. So it favors very heavily larger organizations. So your friends basically have to literally swap back and forth between the other tabs and company to actually get this to refresh, because there's no button to refresh it. It doesn't list every company out. And you can see, as I refresh through this a couple of times here, a lot of these are the same ones that have already populated it. So you're wasting a lot of time. I mean, most of these were on the other lists. So, I mean, trying to find a friends group and join it is near impossible. Getting into these groups is fairly difficult. Now you can see a lot of these are send request, which means these are all closed groups. They're all private, and the only way to join them is by sending a request and then having a officer or leader of the group actually accept the request to join. And so, yeah, that's pretty obnoxious. Now, you might ask, what's the benefit of the company? Well, that is tied into a couple of major things. The first and foremost is the Galactic Front. This is a community-driven goals aspect thing. A lot of other games have done similar stuff. We see it kind of with like Helldivers 2 probably being the closest comparison a lot of people would make. This is a small little story thing. Right now it's tied to the new planet they've added. By completing all of the goals, you get a number of community unlocks, which are cosmetics. So you get a visor, a helmet decal, and a weapon skin at the completion of the season here.
Troopers,
and you get,
we have secured
a little slideshow story for it.
And the mobile infantry has... Attention, troopers.
So,
today marks the dawn of a new era for the Federation. Deep space scans have discovered a remote planet in the unexplored system of Quana. We have named the planet Boreas, as it appears to be a frozen expanse filled with untapped resources and opportunities. The particulars of these resources are not fully understood, but the spectroscopic data indicates they have immense potential as energy sources.
Alright, so I'm back out of there now. You guys can pause and read the rest if you want. The point is that this has kind of a semi-story driven thing, which anybody can watch the story part of the company or not. Which granted is just, again, some slideshows with audio text, which is fine. But you can only participate in these if you are part of a company. I don't know if everybody, even people not in companies, will get these spoils of war. So that might be an issue, and that's going to be a point of frustration for a lot of people if they're literally unable to join a company to do that or participate in it, and then they get excluded from getting the spoils of war when it's something they wanted to do and had the ability to do, but the game zone setup stopped that. And then the other issue is this is the new map, Boreas, this ice planet. This is a major part of the update as well as the new map. This new map is not available through standard gameplay methods. It will not populate under the missions. This is all, of course, randomized, but you only have the current planets that we've had, which is Velaka, X11, and Agni Prime. Boreas does not show on this list currently. Later on, it sounds like it probably will. When that is, I don't know. This Galactic Front shows 70 days, so I guess in 2, maybe 3 months we'll get this as part of this list. I hope that's not that long, but it's certainly seeming that way. So the only way to play it is, again, by being a company officer, company commander. You can come in here to create company operation, and you can spend resources which you get from playing normal missions, or the other missions, to create one in here. And you can create one of 6 missions on here that will play for an hour, and your company will have access to that. So that's one option. And then if somebody in a company does that and they don't have a full 16 players or whatever is needed to populate that, then players who are choosing quick play have a chance to join it. Of course, the issue with the quick play option is quick play will also give you potentially any one of these. You will get anywhere from easy to hard difficulty. You have no guarantee of what difficulty you're going to be playing on. It will give you potentially any map, so if there's a specific map you don't like playing for whatever reason, there's a good chance that you might end up getting on that map. And of course, the modifiers and all that other stuff is completely randomized. So it's not really a great method for playing the new map either. So yeah, that's a mess. The whole thing, the whole company system, the Galactic Front, and what they did with Boreas was such a major mess because that was a huge part of this update. And it's like the person who implemented the system and gave final okay on it had their head bashed in with a rock before they said anything, and they were working with like a serious concussion and didn't know what they were saying, and they're like, "It's good to go, guys," and then they just put it out because any sort of QA testing should have told them, hey, this is a bad idea, players are going to hate this, don't do that. It's mind-bogglingly stupid to me. I want to criticize it more, but I don't even know where to begin. And like, I get making a game isn't easy, but my god, that was so bad. Okay, so then the final major addition to this update was a new bug type. It's a new boss bug, the tanker bug. Now, if you guys have been watching my videos, you may know there's 2 bugs I've been waiting for in the game since launch. One is the hoppers, the little flying bugs from the first movie, and the other, which is probably the one I've been wanting to see more, is the tanker bug, the corpse of which has been in a number of maps and locations in the game since launch. So they've had the model for ages, and I've been desperately waiting because the tanker bug is like super cool. I've been playing for several days now. This came out on the 9th, I believe, for people who had early access launch, but it came out on like the 10th or the 11th for the full launch. I played for like 3 or 4 days before I got to see a tanker bug. The tanker bug is tied to map modifiers. It will not appear unless it is on the map modifier. So these little red boxes here, if you guys are familiar with these, this will tell you if there's going to be a tanker bug. Now, the only ones I've seen them in here so far, after several days of playing, was yesterday morning. Some friends had messaged me, and as soon as I saw it, I hopped on right away. In the Assault and Secure game modes here, which You go through, and then you get to the base defense portion, and a tanker bug pops up from the ground inside your base. Anything that's above where it pops up gets destroyed. And that was kind of cool. I like that aspect of it. My first time fighting it, we shot it for about a minute, and then it burrowed back under the ground, never to be seen again for that mission. We completed the mission, finished up, extracted, went off in the ship, and won. And that was it. It was very anticlimactic. The tanker bug destroyed a couple of walls and some ammo boxes, and that was about it with where it came up. I don't think it actually even killed anybody or did anything else beyond damage to a couple of walls in the center of the base. It was very disappointing, but I had some time left, so I went ahead and I launched into a second game of Assault and Secure. We blew through the initial objectives, got to the base, did the base defense pretty much right away. I think I might have joined mid-game too. It was fairly early on. Tanker bug once again shows up. This time it's putting a little bit more work in. It stays up above the ground. We're fighting it. We get its health down maybe like an eighth of its health, if that. It's got a lot of health. It takes a lot of work to kill it, which is, again, I'm fine with. But we're going through, we're slowly tearing away its health, and then my game freezes. And I hear somebody else go, "Oh, not again." And apparently everybody else's game froze too, I assume, like mine did. And then the game is sitting there frozen. I am just about to force close out. I gave it a little bit longer than I normally would for this sort of thing. Just as I'm about to tab out and force close the game starts playing again. However, the server seems to have disconnected during that freeze because every player is no longer communicating. They're all moving in a single direction. Some people are pedaling backwards, some people are moving forwards, but nobody's actually moving around like normal. They're just going a single direction, which I assume is whatever direction those players were going when they disconnected, and the game's just taking their last input and just keeping that in there. The tanker bugs seem to be moving around a little bit and kind of looking around and doing different stuff a little bit. It wasn't really attacking or doing anything. It was just kind of sitting there moving its head a bit. Shooting it did not cause it to lose life. I was getting blood spatter up when I shot it with the pistol, but it wasn't doing any damage. And then when I were to shoot it with the grenade launcher, I didn't get a hit marker or any sort of indicator that was actually getting even hit by the grenade. Yeah, so it's a mess. And my my experiences with pretty much every major new feature is less than stellar. So far, the best new feature has been, to me, the crossplay, which again has been mixed community reception. And honestly, the crossplay doesn't really add anything. If anything, it takes away, like I said, because those players aren't communicating or anything. It just adds more players to the player pool, so it doesn't add anything new or change the gameplay in any meaningful way. Anything that should have been a good addition, they found a way to screw up somehow and make it bad, it seems. Now, of course, the biggest issue I've yet to talk about, which is one of performance. The game has had performance issues for months and months and months now. This is something the community has talked about and asked them to fix and address, and it's been an ongoing thing. And unfortunately, this patch is just as bad as the others, I guess. Now, I did manage with some work in lowering my graphics far lower than I probably should need to for a game like this. Did manage to get fairly stable frames. I was getting about 60 frames per second, except for when I was running OBS, and then my frames tanked down very, very low, which you guys will probably see in some of the B-roll footage. I tried recording some footage, and I think it will definitely show in that. I have a strong feeling. I haven't actually gone through to review the footage yet. But, yeah, it's not great. Performance is a mess. People are reporting having 40 series cards and struggling to get 60 frames on the game, even on lower settings. Some people with 10 series cards are saying they're playing the game okay, which isn't really a surprise. I do think a lot of people reporting issues probably haven't done a lot to try and improve the performance, but there's definitely some optimization issues there, and again, you can't really play the game on higher quality settings in a lot of instances, or you need very specific setup to actually be able to accommodate that, so it does work and run okay. But most people aren't experiencing that. That's a huge point of contention for a lot of the community right now, is one of performance. I'm not really sure where these issues emanate from. For the most part, bugs piling up with the bug bodies, the Carnage system that came out. The other patch doesn't really seem to affect performance at all. It doesn't matter if you have one dead bug body or 1,000 of them. Frames don't really seem to drop too much as a result of bugs. Instead, environmental factors like Agni Prime with its lava and stuff like that seems to almost play a bigger factor with its foliage and stuff like that. There's some server-side issues and stuff like that too. I've had a lot of crashes to desktop. A pretty significant number. A lot of times the game has been crashing at the end of matches. If my friends are in a match and I try to join them, sometimes the game is crashing trying to join them. I've had a lot of issues of joining a server in this new game with friends, and one or two friends will get in, and then another person or two get dropped from the match saying that the server can't connect properly, or whatever, stuff like that. A lot of server-related issues. I've had some rubber banding. It's not been too bad for me. I know some people have reported a lot more rubber banding. There's been screen tearing issues with some of the image upscaling stuff that's in the game. There's just tons and tons and tons and tons of issues, and the kind of bugs that you don't want in a bug game. It's been rough, guys, and yeah, that's been my experience with 1.0. I hate to be so negative about it, but honestly, I don't have anything good to say about this update. Like I said, any actual new feature is basically unplayable, or something that's just so poorly implemented that there's no point to it. I haven't played on the new map. I haven't seen any of the ice bugs or anything like that. Like I said, I've only seen the tanker bug a couple of times on the same day, within the same little period. And it was janky, and it had all sorts of issues. The company system's completely broken. The SOG single-player tutorial is pointless and boring. It's a mess, guys, and I don't know if there's any recovering from this in this patch. I don't know if there's anything these guys can do to fix this up. They might be reliant on whatever their next update is, which will be in another quarter, so in another 3 months we've got a number of updates planned. They did have on their roadmap got updated. On there, they did have continued performance updates and some minor changes, like a weapons loadout locker or something like that. And then, after that, some point in the first quarter of next year, we're supposed to see new abilities, perks, attachments for the Morita assault rifle for like underbarrel stuff, which I guess would be like an underbarrel shotgun and grenade launcher potentially for it. Class progression, each class is supposed to be another 5 levels, which I guess will be the new abilities and perks will be tied to that. And then the addition of bug holes, whatever that will be. So I don't know if that's... I mean, we've already got tunnels and stuff in the game that get utilized sometimes, so I don't know if bug holes is just going to be utilizing more of those tunnels, or if bugs will now have like a hole that pops up in the ground. I don't know what bug holes is going to be. It doesn't really matter to me, it's right, to be honest. The second quarter of 2025 is going to be a little bit bigger, so that's probably looking somewhere around, May or June or something like that, probably. New map, new bug, and the second chapter to the single-player tutorial is coming out. Again, I don't care about the single-player. The new map and the new bug, definitely a lot more promise with those particular things. Obviously, the maps in the game have been pretty cool so far. The bugs are pretty cool when they work. Obviously, the tanker bug hasn't really worked very well, but that and the bombardiers are interesting. The bombardiers can be a little frustrating sometimes, but I definitely think they had an extra layer of challenge, and I think they were a good bug choice to make the game more challenging. Just clicking real quick, looking at the modifiers, it is apparently the same modifiers for a couple of these, and then, no tanker body, that's what I was checking for. I don't know if this refreshes on the same thing or not. Doesn't look like it does. Yeah, guys, I don't know. There's maybe more to say to it, but yeah, right now, I wouldn't recommend getting this if you guys don't have Starship Troopers Extermination. I'd probably hold off. because I personally couldn't justify $50 for this title as it sits right now with all the issues and problems with it. You know, at a $25, $30 price point, I would say sure, go get it. You know, if you're on PC and you look at like G2A and you can find a sale on their similar site, I'd say maybe do that. But, you know, buying this full price as the game stands right now with all the optimization issues and all the half-baked features of this new release, it kind of stinks. The best parts of this update are the things that came out in the last updates, and that's kind of unfortunate. It was the stuff I had access to 3 months ago. That's the fun parts of this, you know, the stuff like the Carnage system where all the bugs are piling up and everything. And again, the gameplay here it's fun. It's just as good as when it came out, when it's working properly. But unfortunately, it's working properly less than when it came out, and that's a shame. Alright guys, thanks for watching the video. I'm going to go ahead and cut it off here. Like I still have some B-roll, and I don't know exactly how I plan to integrate that, but you guys will probably see some like cut up gameplay footage or something in this. And then hopefully you guys enjoy it. If you guys do want to see full matches of this, let me know. Maybe I'll do it. Again, performance with OBS in this game has been really rough. So I don't know that I'll be able to accommodate that, but if you guys are interested, let me know, and we'll see if maybe we get a little bit lucky and I can maybe actually squeeze some actual gameplay out of this in a nice to watch way. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Take it easy. I'll see you all in the next one.